All right, let's kick things off like we normally do with a 5-star review, and this one comes to us from Sean John, who says, "There's a movie podcast panel on Earth 616 that I like slightly better. Multiverse News is the best one on our Earth." And on the subject of reviews, anybody that's been listening for the last few weeks, you know that we have a review contest going that is across the entire network. Any Stranded Panda network podcast, if you leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify and send an email to strandedpandapodcastnetwork@gmail.com, you will be entered for the chance to win a PS5, and that review contest ends on the 15th. So you got a little bit over the better part of 2 weeks before that ends. So do your taxes and leave a review.
And
do the taxes first. A PS5 is great, but don't put off doing your taxes.
Yeah. And I should mention, it's not just a PS5. You'll also get 2 Marvel games. So I know they want to give you Spider-Man 2 and then the upcoming Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra.
Yeah.
So, it's a good one.
And all you got to do is something that takes you maybe 30 seconds. So why not?
Why
and
not?
if you're
indeed?
an Android user, you can do it just for this. Just do it for this. If you want to do an
Come
Apple
on,
podcast.
nobody will judge you. Nobody will be like, "Oh, he's an Apple guy now."
You will be praised, lauded, paraded through the street in a good way. All right. So as usual, we are still working on different release times because of Daredevil Born Again, which is coming to an end here in a few weeks. So we'll see what happens after that. So always stay tuned on our socials. We're on all of the things, and we always try to keep everybody up to date there. And that's enough of the business. Let's get to it. CinemaCon, the world's largest gathering for the motion picture industry, where studios and exhibitors showcase their upcoming film and theatrical offerings, reigns supreme this week, as the event was held in Las Vegas March 31st through today, April 3rd. Several of the major studios we talk about on a near-weekly basis had plenty to dazzle us with, so let's break it down by studio and/or intellectual property. Sony leaned heavily into its cash cow, meaning it was all things Spider-Man. In addition to placing Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the final film of the animated Spider-Verse trilogy, back on the calendar for a June 4, 2027 release, Tom Holland took the stage to reveal the official title for his upcoming 4th Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Brand New Day, along with a new July 31st, 2026 release date. How many times can I say Spider-Man in one go?
5 times fast. Let's hear it.
The day's not over.
I fail.
Yeah. I would definitely chalk this up to a win for Sony. They were one of the first studios to present early on in the week. They had their panel that first night. This was one of the first announcements they made in terms of Spider-Man 4 getting the official title of Brand New Day. And for my purposes, I think it was one of the most impactful headlines coming out of CinemaCon. It's had the staying power. It's created a lot of conversations. The reception seems to be overwhelmingly positive. And I'll admit, as a person that has kind of dabbled in and out of comics, more recently I've gotten back into them. I am vaguely, loosely familiar with the Brand New Day storyline. But from my understanding, it was kind of One More Day. Thank you. So, but I guess, One More Day was when he struck the deal with Mephisto, and then the next one after that was Brand New
Day. Its own thing. Strike that, reverse it.
Well, it's all good. They go hand in hand. It was basically the soft reboot in which Peter Parker strikes a deal with Mephisto and says, "Hey, I'll give up these 20, 30 years of continuity in my marriage to Mary Jane, and let's start over again." So. Obviously, the MCU is in a very different place with our Spider-Man, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Coming off of No Way Home, that was a conclusion to that trilogy, so it makes sense to me that they kind of want to start fresh, start new, and Brand New Day is the perfect way to do that. What that entails, don't really know, but the fact that at this point in time, Tom Holland is not a part of Doomsday, it does, beg the question we've been talking about. Is this going to be multiversal? Is this going to be more street level? And it could be the best of both worlds. I have heard a lot of speculation that people think that Mr. Negative is going to be the big bad for this one based on some, casting specifics. I guess they described a character in his mid-30s to early 50s that sees the world in black and white. So if that is the case, that leans itself directly into Mr. Negative. So if you played the or the PlayStation games, that first one specifically, he popped up in both of them, but he was the main antagonist of that first game, and I thought he was a great villain. I have also heard some rumors about Chameleon, and that one, I'm reluctant to poo-poo on that too much, but because it all comes down to execution. I'll give you a chance. It's based on the execution, but coming off of Kraven the Hunter and seeing that character there, there's also just the fact that within the MCU, we've had Skrulls. And I feel like the Chameleon is just too much like the Skrull. Now, they're talking about gender bending him and doing something different, so maybe he's a female Skrull and maybe there's some backstory there. They could do interesting things there. But yeah, for my purposes, again, I think this was a win. I won't talk too much about Beyond the Spider-Verse because I want to leave something on the table for you. But 4 years later, wow, I think it's a testament to the popularity of this title, that the fact that people saw the first film when they were like 9 are going to be like almost, Miles' age, if not older, by the time they get the conclusion to their trilogy. It worked for Toy Story 3, so we'll see.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the One More Day comic like not very popular among fans? Like, I don't think people really like it that much, do they?
I think it was when it definitely, I've read that when it was released, it was not received super well.
Yeah, because it is a bizarre thing. It was kind of like, again, from what I understand, it's that Peter Parker revealed his identity following Civil War, and then Marvel sort of was like, we kind of need to get rid of this and make him secret again. And so they were like, well, just bring in a guy to wave his fingers around and make it happen, and some wiggly woos, and there he is. Now he's secret again. But yeah, it erased his relationship with Mary Jane, and he ended up, and then I think that comic, and then Brand New Day was the follow-up where it was kind of like his life in that new role. And I even think like Mary Jane becomes like a superhero or something. And
Jackpot, I think.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. But people hated it. I think people just hated it, like totally hated it. So I think we've seen Marvel before, though. They don't really take comics word for word, page for page, and adapt them, but they do take loose storylines. We saw that with Civil War, for example, being a good example, even like the WandaVision comics and Secret Wars, and, taking the shell of an idea and then adapting it to the screen in a different way and adding your own spin to it. So I think Kevin Feige seems to be very tapped into the comics world and how comics are received versus not received well and all of that. And I think that type of decision making will come out in this type of movie. So we have the shell of an idea. Nobody knows who Peter Parker is. We know Doctor Strange erased his identity. We know that he's not with our version of MJ in the MCU. And those are the basic bones of that storyline. So it matches up, I think, enough. I still, it does make me wonder, though, about Sadie Sink. We know that she got cast in this movie, and I think if you're telling me she's playing like another Mary Jane or something, I think that starts to get into kind of weird territory with the fact that we already have a Mary Jane, or MJ, I guess, or whatever you want to call her. But that's been, Peter Parker's love interest in the MCU. I think it would be an odd decision to bring in a new character, I think, for that purpose at this point of the game. So yeah, I mean, Scotty, I hear you with the street level versus multiversal. I do have a hard time wondering how it could be street level with the events of Avengers Doomsday, and I think we'll have more answered as we go with that. We'll talk more about Avengers Doomsday here in a minute, but I think we probably will see Tom Holland in some capacity pop up in that movie. It's just a question of what will his role be. But I think we're really going to get the exploration of Spider-Man in that movie. I don't think he will be a main character in Doomsday, but I think we will probably pick up with him again later. But Spider-Man 4 will probably burrow down into what's going on with him while whatever event is going on in Doomsday. But also should be said, and Jess K mentioned it in the chat, first Spider-Man title without home in it. So it kind of sets up really, truly, and the title card of the movie looks different. It doesn't look in the same font as it has in the past. So that seems intentional. It seems like we're starting a new era for Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yep. The John Watts ones have had their day. It's time for a brand new day.
Yeah.
We covered One More Day when we did No Way Home primer for that Spider-Man movie over on source pages. So if you want to read it, you can, or listen to that, please do. You can also read it. You can do all of the things that you want to do because it's a free world. So the thing that's like a thread from One More Day that I could see them still tapping into is Peter does all of this to save Aunt May.
Oh, good
And
call.
Yeah.
we miss our Aunt May in the MCU. I mean, we did not get her for enough time. So I wouldn't hate if they did that. The Sadie Sink of it all, I still kind of lean towards Gwen Stacy. She could be Patricia Hardy, but I don't. She's not really quite, the actress I would choose for that role, probably just based on how young she appears to be and stuff like that. The way she presents, and so I like Gwen Stacy for her.
I do too.
And I think it might be a cop out, but like I think that's the answer to not having another MJ in the universe. But the other thing that strikes me about all this Spider-Man news, spider news, I killed a spider just a little while ago, by the way, in my house, and I didn't feel bad about it at all. Just like the amount of time it takes to make these Spider-Verse movies, that we're getting an entire live-action Spider-Man before the third Spider-Verse, and just to, I don't know, like appreciate that art form for those movies because it's so special and unique, and look how long it's taking them just to
Are
make
we getting
this third
both
one.
Avengers movies before it too?
I don't think we're
Unless
getting.
Secret Wars gets pushed, yeah, because it's May and then it would be June. Yeah.
That's wild. So
That's
anyway,
crazy.
just a moment for Spider-Verse
Yeah.
appreciation.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe has been
Hey.
able to pivot from one plan to another while Spider-Verse is still trying to make their original plan.
Yeah,
come to
Doctor Doom
fruition.
will rise and fall before the Spider-Verse gets concluded.
Yeah. At the mention of this being the Spider-Man 4 being the first title not to include home, I did notice, and I do think it's coincidence, but I just wonder, it does share New with Brave New World and then Day with Doomsday. So, coincidence? I think so. But influence? Possibly.
We see you, Kevin.
Yeah.